Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harpin on Rugby podcast. Joining me this week is someone making his 40th pod appearance, and he also runs the online entity known as Post to Post Sport, where he's been paying particular attention to the Rugby World Cup qualifying process. Welcome back to Mr. Kieran Duffy.
Yeah, it'll be.
Okay, well, listen, let's turn our attention now to our feature match of the week. We all know what it was, who was playing, and where it was. But here's a generic 80-word summary of it anyway. Ireland fell 13-26 to New Zealand in Chicago, surrendering a halftime lead as the All Blacks scored three late tries. Tyke Furlong's early effort and a Jack Crowley penalty gave Ireland some hope, despite Tyke Burns' 20-minute red card. Line-out struggles and missed opportunities plagued their second half. Kylan Doris returned from injury, and Paddy McCarthy earned his first cap. Captain Dan Sheehan admitted Ireland were inaccurate and must improve ahead of their upcoming home fixtures. Now, obviously, we're going to go into a bit more detail than that. And to kick things off, Kieran wants to harp on the way the All Blacks were just simply more clinical in their finishing, especially in the second half.
Yeah, and I think generally speaking, the game changed around the 60th minute. In the first half, New Zealand didn't have a whole lot of chances, and they probably scored their one try from their one chance. It was a really well worked try, and if Ireland go in 10-0 up or even 10-3 up, that's completely different. That's a completely different game for the second half. But just the fact that New Zealand managed to stay in reach the whole um, the whole way to the hour mark. Jack Crowley obviously kicked a penalty. He had a penalty attempt that went wide. I think it was from about 40 meters out. In fairness, and it wasn't exactly right in front of the post. So it was 13-7, and I think a lot of us were expecting Ireland to kind of push on and get another score. I think you said in the WhatsApp group, next score is absolutely crucial, and Ireland didn't get it anyway. I think like Ireland were, just controlling the game well. Then around the 60th minute, I'm going to mispronounce his name, probably apologies, but around the half an hour mark, Tupaia put in a big turnover on the around the halfway. Ireland were nearly into the New Zealand 22, and New Zealand get that big turnover, and suddenly New Zealand have a line out, 5 meters out. Um, in that time, Ireland make a sub. Kelleher comes on for Sheehan. There was a tackle checked on Ringrose. There was no foul play. It was just a penalty. In fairness, there was no foul play at all. It was a really meaty tackle, I suppose. But from there, I don't know, was it straight from that penalty or is it from the next penalty? But New Zealand go for a tap and go and get over after two phases. Fairly easily got over, I would say. I'd say they didn't exactly have to work particularly hard for that try. Now the ref did call it very early because it looked like it could have been held up. I don't know if it was. There was kind of no clear evidence that it was, but Ian Henderson was adamant that it did get held up, and you know, um, suddenly New Zealand are in front. They convert it. The ref had awarded a try, so there would have to be clear evidence to overturn it, which I don't think there was. So obviously, whatever the ref saw, he was happy with. To be honest, I think in the end, New Zealand probably deserved to win because they were more clinical. But just then from the restart, Ireland have another chance. Really good chip over the top by Jack Crowley. Tommy O'Brien, I think it was Tommy O'Brien or Jamie Osborne, came really close to gathering it. It's just knocked on. It was a smart bit of play, and New Zealand get a scrum, and then suddenly they get up the other end of the pitch again, and you're kind of like, what happened there? James Lowe actually got back really well to recover a deep kick in his own half, but then New Zealand just sliced Ireland open easily. I mean, it was kind of a bit like a training match, and I suddenly then it's 21-13 to New Zealand, and you're kind of thinking, what happened? We were in control of this game. And I think the issue was Ireland didn't build enough of a lead when they were in control for that. I feel like for the first hour of the game, Ireland were generally the better side, not by a significant margin. I don't think it was quite Chicago 9 years ago, but Ireland were the better team for the majority of those 60 minutes, and then suddenly, you're looking at we're suddenly behind, and New Zealand are just in control of the game, and you don't want to be chasing a New Zealand team, no matter even if they're not the New Zealand team of 2011, 2015. But then from there, Ireland just completely lost their way. I mean, Ireland had no real impact on the game. I feel like New Zealand got another try in the 77th minute. Ireland were just pinned back in their own half. It came off a scrum, wasn't converted, which probably makes the scoreline look a little bit better. But at that stage, the game was over. They actually got over again in the 80th minute when there was a forward pass in there. It was a clearly forward pass, but again, just the manner of that try it wasn't a good try. It wasn't allowed, but just the manner of they kind of had three players running into space. No one was there to catch them. If the pass hadn't been forward, it would have been an easy walk through for any of one of three players. So in general, I just think there's 2 points. There's one, Ireland had a lot of possession and a lot of territory and a lot of the ball and just in good positions and just couldn't make anything happen, after the first try. The first try was good and it came at an important time, but I think after that, like every time New Zealand got the ball, they kind of looked like scoring, and they only really had the ball 4 or 5 times in dangerous positions. RG Sabea's try in the first half, I think it was really good hands by New Zealand, and to be honest, I think that's just hard to handle anyway. I don't think there's much Ireland can do about that. You could argue that maybe the defence was a little bit narrow, but you look at Ireland's one try, it came off a line out, which is a bit surprising because the line out was fairly awful. But yeah, I think in general, just Ireland just didn't take any real chances, and I wouldn't read too much into Jack Crowley's one missed penalty because it was 40 meters out. I think it was probably the right decision to go for the penalty, 40 meters out, bit of a weird angle. I mean, it wasn't a straightforward kick, and he got one shortly after to make it 13-7. But Ireland needed to get another score, and it just never came. And then 6 points against New Zealand, that's a very dangerous lead with 20 minutes to go, and they were able to just turn on the style. I don't think New Zealand were great, but I think they were more clinical in general.
Yeah, I mean, apart from putting the disappointment aside for a second, it was a fascinating match overall. And I suppose if you look back in history of previous results, Ireland against New Zealand, for those three late tries, we got used to that over the years. Before the last time we played them in Chicago, that's the way games tended to go. You think we'd be in it, and then they run in three late tries. But this was a different kind of game. You know, it was a match that was there for the taking, and I really, really, honestly believe that final score does not reflect how this match went. But I think from Ireland's point, I think you're right. I think the clinical finishing was the difference. When the All Blacks had their chances, they took them. Ireland had plenty of chances to put this game away. They had the disappointment at the start with Tadhg Beirne, but they still built a lead. We'll talk about the positives later, but the way we attacked for that first try was very impressive. It wasn't just the finish. It was the whole move leading up to it. That was just an impressive passage of play. James Gibson Park spoke of before this tour, saying that they were going to try new things, and we saw that in action there. But we just couldn't finish it in the second half. Nothing was coming off for us. That final pass just wouldn't come for us. It'd be knocked on, or Jack would kick it forward. Kick it ahead, which was a good idea. You could see it was on. There was space in behind the blitzing New Zealand defense. The ball just wouldn't get there. It just wouldn't sit up for the guy chasing forward. There was one time when Tommy O'Brien ran through on one, and he was sandwiched by two All Blacks. Now the referee said that they're competing for the ball. I still think Cam Roigard's line clearly changed into Tommy O'Brien's path there, but that's neither here nor there. It was still a tough ask for him to get to that with two All Blacks on top of him. It was just making that final pass count didn't work for Ireland, whereas the All Blacks always seem to have it, or in most cases for their tries. It was just one missed tackle. I think there was a Gary Ringrose one where he slipped, and then when Roigard scored his try, he basically wrong-footed Craig Casey and put the next two tacklers on the back foot as well, and just got to the line straight away. It was just one slip is all it takes at this level in a big match like this between two of the top four teams, two of the top three teams in the world. They're the margins that make the difference.